And so I didn't want to get under any obligations knowing that this wedge was happening. This thing right here. Let me go ahead and highlight it for what I was talking about last week. This guy right here, because usually when you form into a wedge, at some point something happens either to the top or the bottom. Well, look at what happened. It went to the bottom. Now that we've broken out, the question is this a true reversal? Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit here because I want to just show you this is actually very significant and why we're hearing a lot of news headlines. If you look over the last 2 years, since the initial scare around the first COVID piece outbreak, the market has been clearly on an uptrend, and this ascending level of support has held out. This is the first time that we're seeing weakness, and so people have to remember that whatever trend, whether it be a trend in the upward direction or a trend in the downward direction or a trend in the horizontal direction, they're not really called a trend until you have a test of the top and the bottom, at least 2 tests of each. So if you have 1 test, 2 test, and 1 test, 2 test, then you start calling this a trend. So what we're waiting for here is, will it bottom, and then where will it top, bottom, top? And if we get something like this, we can say that we're now on a sell-off. It's too soon to tell what's happening, but what we do know is that this current trend is broken.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the chart here, and that 4400 level is looking like a solid support that we'll probably want to keep an eye on in the coming weeks, because that may be a significant point to determine if it'll move back up or if we're going to be heading back down for a couple weeks.
Absolutely. In fact, on this, once a month, SIP, we have this cool call where we invite Paul. And so for folks that haven't been are just like finding me right now, you need to click on the subscribe button to wherever you're listening to this video podcast. And you need to, turn on your notifications, because periodically we do a little partnership with Paul. And Paul's a technician beyond belief. And he said it this past Tuesday on his call with me that 4,400 was the next, horizontal level of support that we need to be looking out for. And that's going to tell us a lot about the markets, right? So we're going to be watching for 4,400 on the S&P 500.